On today's show, the Washington Wizards were blown out in the desert, and if there's one thing it proved, it's that this team does need Trae Young.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
EC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. If you are new to the channel, like and subscribe and join the DC family, where we do this thing every single day. Alongside the DC sports content creating savant Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable IO. 112-93, the Wizards lose their third straight game out in the desert last night. The Phoenix Suns sweep the Washington Wizards in the season series, so you hate to see that, or you love to see it, because this team is back to its tanking ways. AB, what's going on? Happy Monday.
What's going on, man? First of all, I want to say it was a great Sunday, not because the Wizards added another loss to their tanking season, but the Eagles also lost, Ben. So shout out to all the Philly fans. And the sun glaring on me, I apologize, guys. A lot of moving parts in that Ayubi household, and I'm currently in my sister's room, so I appreciate you and the viewers being patient with me.
All right, on today's show, we break down why last night was an example of why Washington went out and traded for a player with the playmaking prowess of Trae Young. I want to talk about Alex Sarr, his big night, and how he continues to get better as the season goes on here. And then I want to talk about a conversation I heard between Drew Gooden and Chris Miller yesterday. Is Tre Johnson actually underrated amongst the NBA rookies right now? We tackle all that today here on Locked On Wizards. I want to start with last night games. Just disastrous offensive performance, and disastrous is an easy way to put it for this Washington Wizards team since CJ McCollum was traded from this team. And I know CJ got a lot of flack from the fan base for taking a ton of shots, around 15 of them per game. But he did stabilize this Wizards offense on the majority of nights. Even though he's not a pure point guard, he did it a little bit in New Orleans. He had done it with Portland. But that obviously wasn't the role that he was expected to take here in D.C. And we know not having a pure point guard has been the biggest Washington issue this year. And last night, it reared its ugly head in a big way. 22 turnovers for the Wizards. And if you look back over the last 3 games since C.J. McCollum departed from this team, 21.3 turnovers per game for this Washington Wizards team. It continues to be a massive problem. Their offensive rating has dipped down 10 points in the last 3 games as well. So it's not a surprise that the team is a lot worse offensively right now without C.J. McCollum, but it's gotten to the point where it's getting a little bit hard to watch at times. And it was really a bad night for almost everybody except for Tre Johnson and Alex Sarr yesterday, AB.
Yeah, it was tough, and you brought up good points about the fact that when you add Trae Young to his offense, it's going to look different. Being able to have a floor general 22 turnovers, I mean, it's hard to win this league when you have that many turnovers, especially against the Suns team, which, to be honest, man, Devin Booker, 17 points. He kept it, the Wizards did a good job containing him. Jordan Goodwin, shout out to him, former Wizard. He was going out there and gave good minutes to Phoenix. No one really went off. It was a lot of team effort and only giving up 112. Now, granted, Phoenix probably didn't play much. They only scored 16 in the fourth, so that's when they put a lot of bench players in, and they were up 32 at one point. But yeah, it just goes to show this is flawed by design. You lose all these games because you don't have someone that can control the tempo of this game. And CJ McCollum, like you mentioned, a lot of fans, they did not like the amount of shots that he was taking, but he's also a veteran. He understands how the game is played, and he was controlling the tempo of this offense up until he got traded. And even for Atlanta, I think he had like 13 points the other night against Golden State, which they won. But moving forward, you're just seeing the progress of these young guys. And Alex Sarr, 15 rebounds tonight and 19 points, double-double against a Mark Williams type of center in this league, man, where he's going to be really good for years to come. But Alex being able to bounce back from some performances where he only had 1 rebound, 3 rebounds, that's progress. And Tre Johnson, I can't wait to talk about him, Ben. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He has really come along. Started off slow earlier in the year, Ben, but it's picking up. And it's crazy to talk about it because the rookie draft class, VJ is so nice, Flag is so nice, but there's going to be conversations hopefully by year 2, year 3, where maybe Trey might be the best when he has a guy like Trae Young passing him the ball and giving him open looks.
Honestly, last night was just indicative to me of how good those two are going to be when Trae Young is on the floor, and why this team went out and traded for Trae Young And Will Dawkins said it on the Sports Junkies today as well that the biggest thing that's hampered them this season is they haven't had a true number one option, a pure point guard. I know Bub Carrington has come off the bench the past couple games, which is actually interesting to me because the Wizards have run this starting backcourt of Tre Johnson and Bilal Coulibaly, but then you have Bub Carrington come off the bench and he ends up playing the most minutes on the team, I believe. Yeah, he played 32 minutes, a team high yesterday. So it's interesting that they decide for him to come off the bench and get those first runs with the bench unit and then play a bit with the starters as well. I wonder if they're trying to groom him to play off the bench because that's the role they think he's going to play for this team when Trae Young is on the floor. But that's interesting to me. Honestly, not an awful night for Bub Carrington in terms of efficiency passing the ball, 7 assists compared just to 1 turnover. That's a solid night for him. The Wizards this season, and over the last 3 games especially, have an abysmal assist-to-turnover ratio, about like 1.17, so they're almost turning the ball over as much as they're getting assists on the floor, which is really, really bad. Let me see what total assists. So they had 22 turnovers and 22 assists last night, and that's simply not going to cut it. Big-time struggles from Keyshawn George yesterday, who I think is just being asked to do too much in these situations where you have him acting as your primary ball handler. I know he's had some nights where he's looked really well, but the turnover rate for George is really, really high because he's being asked to do so much. So it makes all the sense in the world that Will Dawkins and Michael Winger decided to go out and test the trade market to see if they could find a legitimate option at point guard because you're unsure of what's going to be available for you in the draft. And maybe the thinking for Washington here is if we're unsure of what's going to be available to us in the draft at this point, should we go in the trade market and find a guy to be our true lead point guard for next year in the market here because you got a pretty buy low opportunity in Trae Young. And I know the turnover rate is high for a guy like Young, so I'm not expecting the turnovers to be significantly improved, but 22 is insane. You're the second worst in the NBA overall at just under 16 per game. I think even though Young typically turns the ball over 3.5 to 4 times per game, you're still looking at a much more efficient and better looking offense, and you're going to see a lot more looks for guys like Saar out of the pick and roll. You're going to see Tre Johnson thrive playing off the basketball, and then you're going to take the load off of Bilal Coulibaly and Keyshawn George. Last night was proof to me that they need a guy with his playmaking ability, and I'm excited to see when he finally gets out there at some point this year.
And look at Trae Young's resume, man. His teammates. He got John Collins paid. Clint Capella. He finds a way to feed his big man. And last season, he led the league in assists. And the last time we had someone like his caliber being able to play make, Russell Westbrook. Before that, it was John. And I'm excited, man. I know the idea of him not playing too many games, I understand because you want to keep your draft pick. But when he's on the court, a lot of Wizards fans are going to be watching because this is glimpses of what you're going to get next season. And I like the fact that you bring up the insurance policy. What if you don't get a top the draft pick? God forbid. But let's say you don't get a Darren Peterson and you didn't have a point guard going into the offseason, then what do? But you realize that Trae Young is at such a low price. You trade up CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert. The price is right. No draft capital, no young guys. Love the move by Will Dawkins, and it's going to pay off for the foreseeable future.
I think there's a real possibility that there is a long-term play here with Trae Young, and I mentioned that on the last podcast. I know so many people have their concerns with his defense. They say he doesn't shoot the basketball well enough. I don't think he's really that inefficient and that bad as an outside shooter. I don't need him to be a tremendous three-point shooter. That's not what this Wizards team needs. They don't need him to be the best player on this team long-term. Now, he's going to be the best player when he joins the roster, or not when he joins the roster, but when he starts playing on the floor with this team. He is going to be their best player. That's just the truth. He's a 4-time All-Star player. He has established himself in this league as one of the best offensive players at one point. He will be the best player on the team. It's not really a question. But 2 or 3 years down the road, if he's still in the picture, you kind of hope that somebody else takes the reins from that. You hope that Alex Sarr would be your best offensive player. You hope Tre Johnson would be a more viable scoring option at that point. You don't need Trae Young to be a number one superstar player. You need him to bring the ability that you know that he has in terms of playmaking and setting up his teammates and making other players around him better. That's what the Wizards need, and if Trae Young can be bought in on that for however long his tenure is in D.C., I think it's going to be a good one. I think he's going to really help this young team flourish at some point.
Quick nugget, by the way. Shout out to Greg Finberg. Right now, Ben, Alex Sarr leads the NBA with 2.3 blocks per game. I love it, Ben.
And I actually got something for that real quick. I'll put up on the screen. Shout out to District Analytics who made this graph right here, and he wanted me
That's
to
fire.
use it in the show today. It's covering up your face right now, AB, but
It's all
yeah,
good.
Alex Sarr, best in the NBA right now, one of the best rim defenders in the entire league. I feel like he's going to make an All-NBA defensive team, and that just segues us perfectly. Alex Sarr, a big night last night. What did we notice from him? I'll tell you about it next here on Locked On Wizards. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new: boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds a little extra energy to Friday night basketball without having to overthink it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Every night, I feel like I learn something new about Alex Sarr or see something that intrigues me in a way. And it's not just the 4 stocks that he had yesterday or the 19 points and a tied for a career high 15 rebounds, which is incredible to me because you think about the rebounding performance he put forth against the Pelicans on Friday. 1 rebound in plenty of minutes for Sarr on that night. And you say, why is our 7'1" center unable to rebound the basketball on a night like that? Last night, completely different story, grabbing the 15 rebounds. And the one thing I've learned from him is that his motor continues to get better and better. Now, there have been some nights where maybe the motor's been a little bit down. But compared to his rookie year, I feel like you really only got the motor you saw from Alex Sarr last night 1 out of every 4 games or so. That's what's been completely transformative in his game in this 2025 campaign in year number 2. If he has the ability to get after it and play aggressive, especially early in games, he is set up to have a big-time night. And I feel like what I've learned about Alex Sarr here in year number 2 is if he has a really strong start to the game, he's going to have a big night. I like how he came out the gate super aggressive last night. Just go back to the first quarter. He took 8 shots. He went 4 of 8 from the field, only took 1 3-pointer. He grabbed 5 rebounds in that first quarter alone. And that's how I kind of had this feeling like this could be a big night for Sarr. Even though he doesn't really have somebody that's making a ton of plays for him, he's taking his opportunities where he can. I love that he showcases the ability when he gets the basketball at the top of the key. He can rip through, get to his left side, and attack and finish at the rim with his left hand. That's something he's got better at, just handling the basketball up top. That's one of the limitations to his game still at this point is him handling the basketball. But for a guy that moves like that at 7'1", he's a unicorn. And if he continues to get better at handling the basketball and creating dribble drive penetration the way he has been on certain occasions, he's going to be really hard to stop in almost any situation, AB.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say enough nice things about the year 2 kid, man. There was a play, Ben, where Alex Sarr blocked someone at the rim, got the ball, pushed it, and gave it to Bilal for the slam. The French Connection, shout out to that. I still haven't watched the movie, Ben. I got to watch it. But my question is, Ben, right now I brought up the fact that he's leading the league for 2.3 blocks per game. Is there a legit shot that he could win Defensive Player of the Year, or do you think it's tough because the Wizards are just not winning a lot?
He wouldn't win that award this year. I don't think there's a chance of that. But I think he deserves All-NBA recognition. If he keeps up this pace that he's playing at, if he finishes the season as the NBA leader in blocks, I think it'd be insane if he didn't make an All-NBA defensive team.
Oh, 100%.
And he's one of the best switch defenders in the league amongst centers. You see him switch onto Devin Booker on a couple of occasions last night. He moves so well that if he switches onto guys 2 through 4, he can guard them. He can keep up with them. He has the reach where you have the ability that if you do get beat by a slim margin, a guy tries to get to the rim, you can use that reach to make up for it and swat the shots. That's what Alex Sarr does, and that's a real perk to his game, and that's why this front office was so enamored with him in the preseason. They said if you just look at his switch ability as a defender on the perimeter and at the rim. That's what makes him so special. He's your anchor down low defending the rim, but he can switch there and help you out big time. Just imagine when he has another big playing alongside him as well. It's going to be scary hours trying to score at the rim if you have another big that's down there to help Saar anchor it a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because Devin Booker, he was in the paint and he pump faked like 3 times, Ben, and he got blocked by Alex Sarr. His ability to stay disciplined on his feet, that's just something you don't see out of year two guys. And man, you brought up another big that he could play alongside. Cameron Boozer, Ben. How great, and the potential of that front court would just be amazing.
It'd be so good just to see it. And I think there's other names in free agency as well that the Wizards could target, and Alex Sarr. I'm just excited to see the offensive growth that's to come with his game when Trae Young is on the floor. That first night where you see them run the pick and roll, if the first play is Alex Sarr coming out of the short roll and Trae Young lobs it up for him and he throws it down, I don't even know what I'm going to say because I feel like everybody is excited about the possibility of what that connection, what that duo looks like. Because in all honesty, the Wizards need a Trae Young type player to take the next step in the rebuild. This move could be super important from that realm. If you want to get out of the bottom of the NBA in terms of offensive rating, which is where the Wizards are right now, especially over the last 3 games or so, you need a player that can set guys up like Trae Young. I don't even think people understand, like, that is the reason he's brought in here. You're not asking him to be some insane scoring type of basketball player that's going to give you 30 plus every night. That's not the goal here. I don't think that's what the Wizards are going to want out of Trae Young. Can he probably give you 30 and 10 on a couple of occasions, like one out of every 5 to 10 games or so where he actually does give you 30 and 10? I'm sure it could happen. I think even when we talked to Brad Rowland from Locked On Hawks, he said there was an occasion as recent as a couple of weeks ago where he gives you 20 and 10, 3 straight nights. He's absolutely capable of playing at that level, and the Wizards still feel like he can play at a super high level. And if you just get that alongside Saar and give him some other tools to work with here, I think it could be a really special connection. It can make this offense that much more dynamic.
And I've been wondering recently, ever since the trade, which young Wizard is going to benefit the most from playing alongside Trey. And I think it's unanimously we can all agree on the fact that Alex, again, Ben, because the lob threat ability, and the pick and rolls, the pick and pops. I just think Trae Young has the ability to make his teammates better, and this team needs a facilitator. Will Dawkins talked about how we love how Trae Young plays this specific type of brand of basketball that we need here in Washington. And the defensive inept, I'm ability to not play defense, the narrative behind that. Honestly, Ben, I could care less, because when you have wings like Keyshawn Bilal and Alex Sarr who can protect the rim and potentially lead the NBA in blocks, you don't need Trae Young to be a Tony Allen, Ben. I just hate it, because that's what everyone's hating on. Outside of the Wizards not getting draft capital, a lot of Wizards fans are just outside Wizards fans saying that they didn't get a good defender, and it's like you see the Wizards already giving up 129 to 130 points per game. They don't need Trae Young to be an elite defender. If he gives you 25 and 10, you sign up for that every single freaking night. 99% of NBA fans would love their starting point guard to do that.
It almost makes me wonder how much value is there in point guards that can defend at a super high level, because there are definitely guards out there that can defend at a high level. They might not give you the same offensive production, but they will give you something defensively. How much value is that, or is there in the league in terms of that type of player? Because, not to ruffle anyone's feathers about CJ McCollum and Trae Young is not that much worse defensively, I don't think, than CJ McCollum. They both are not good defenders. Like, there's no question about that. Both, you could basically consider them turnstiles defensively. But if you get Young to maybe buy in on your defensive principles, whatever they may be in the situation, you can try to get the most out of him. And maybe if he isn't focused on being a team's number one option in terms of scoring the basketball, maybe you can get more intensity, more effort on the defensive side of the basketball. And at his size, it makes it difficult to play elite level defense in the NBA. It's just hard to be great defensively in this league, and that's why so many players are not good defenders in the National Basketball Association. But it really depends. If you have 4 other guys on the floor that you see as viable defensive options, then maybe you look past it a little bit. Maybe the Wizards see it as something you can work around and try to play to the strengths of Young and maybe not have guys pick on him as much if possible, because you're going to have a really good defender out there every single time, and Alex Sarr anchoring your defense, defending the rim. You're likely going to have Bilal Coulibaly out there, who we know can defend with the best of them. He can defend on the basketball. He can help you out on the wing, defend off the ball. Tre Johnson, a bit of a question mark for me defensively. As he starts to fill out his frame, around 6'5", he's close to 6'6". I think he has more defensive potential than people believe. I don't know if he's ever going to be great on that side of the basketball, but like I said, it's a want-to thing. If he wants to get better defensively and help out in the backcourt, I think that's something that can be done. Then that leaves you the question, do you have another big alongside Saar to help you out defensively if you go out and get somebody like Mitchell Robinson? And, then you go from there. Can those other four guys on the floor make up for the deficiencies that Trae Young will have on that side of the basketball? It's going to be fascinating to find out how the Wizards handle that when the time does come, because he's going to struggle defensively. Everybody knows that. The Wizards know that. They're not going to be surprised to see Trae Young struggle on defense.
I'm just ready for the first clip of Trae Young getting blown by as a Wizard fan, and Wizards fans were like, I told you so. He sucks. He's not that guy. Let me ask you this. Do you think he plays Ben pre All-Star break, or do you think he plays post All-Star break?
If I had to guess, I would say post All-Star break, but I don't know. We'll see, in all honesty. At this point, the way their offense is playing right now, I think it'll get better. I think they'll find some stability one way or another as they get more adjusted to playing without CJ on the floor. But it looks pretty bad offensively right now, and they definitely could use Young out there. I don't know how detrimental it would be. Like, would it kill their tank? It might. Maybe it wouldn't. It's really hard to say how much better they'd be on the floor, but that's why they want to see him play out there. Like, do they truly look like a much better team with him out there? I think they look a hell of a lot better, because the one thing this team really lacked this year outside of defense was a true number one point guard. I want to talk about Tre Johnson when we come back, because Drew Gooden and Chris Miller had a pretty interesting conversation about Trae Young. About Tre Johnson. Is he actually underrated right now? I got to get used to that. All right, we'll tackle that when we come back. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. Seeing the view from your seat before buying makes choosing tickets easy and confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. Features like zone deals help unlock great seats at even better value. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. Tre Johnson, slowly but surely, is raising those shooting splits as time's gone along here, and he's fully gotten healthy, and he's got to playing some good basketball over the last 10 games or so. 19 points for him last night, a really good performance, an efficient one. He was 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 8 from behind the arc. Love to see him taking 15 shots after only taking 7 the other night. That wasn't acceptable. Him doubling it up, though, in this loss against Phoenix, you love to see that. Now, there's one thing that Chris Miller and Drew Gooden brought up on the Monumental Sports Network broadcast. They said, well, this was Chris. He said, if Tre Johnson gets to 50, 40, 90 splits, is he the rookie of the year? And Drew Gooden pushed back a little bit and said, I don't know. You'd have to have some big-time scoring performances alongside, coupled with that, for him to get that type of recognition. But then Chris Miller says, no rookie has ever done that before. And now it's interesting, because Tre Johnson's up to 46% on his field goal percentage. He's at 39.6% shooting from behind the arc, and now he's a 91.7% free throw shooter to begin his NBA career. It's insanely impressive just how efficient he's been here in his rookie season, and I think he doesn't get a lot of recognition compared to some of the other rookies in the association because of the time he missed earlier in the season and him playing a little bit hurt early on. Since he's come back and he's looked healthy and the offense has catered to his needs a little bit more around him, he looks awesome. He looks like a legitimate future 2 guard for this team that's going to score 20 plus per night for his entire career. That's what it looks like to me right now, and he's operating insanely efficiently in the 2-point game. He's shooting over 50% on his 2-point shots, which is a little bit surprising to me because for a guy that didn't showcase a whole lot of ability to get to the rim and finish, to score at multiple levels throughout his one college season, he's doing it pretty efficiently here in year number 1. He's getting better, and it's going to only grow from here.
His vision, Ben, has been getting better recently as well. It's going to be tough, especially even if he has a great second half of the season, finishing top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting, because Derek Queen, really good, Cooper Flagg, really good, VJ Edgecombe, Jeremiah Fears. But, man, it's just the splits that you mentioned, first time ever as a rookie, that's very impressive. And he'll definitely get more shot attempts compared to the first half to the second half, because I just think, CJ McCollum's not taking those shots, and you're at the point where you're not going to win a lot of games, obviously, to keep that draft pick. So let Trey shoot it from anywhere on the court. And for me, Ben, that sweet spot, 14 to 15 shots a game for Trey. Those are the amount that I want to see. Anything less than 10, I think is very malpractice, because this coaching staff needs to realize that you have to let this young kid develop, and letting him have the green light is the go-to move. And Wizards fans always talk about the fact that we're watching the young guys, but I love giving the nickname to Tre Johnson the silver lining, because at the end of the day, when you're losing games like this to Phoenix by 20-plus points, at least Tre Johnson's going out there and giving you 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And moving forward, just watching him play, you can see the growth, and he's only going to get better once he gets a teammate that can get him the ball in a half-court set offense, and a lob that like Alex Sarr. Everything is coming together. Just give him some time.
So I got a stat here, and this is courtesy of Jim from Wiz Weekly. He does his own podcast, so be sure to check him out on Twitter, Wiz_Weekly. So I'm going to steal this from his Twitter. Tre Johnson's points per possession in isolation and pick and roll this year: 1.2 points per possession in isolation opportunities and 1.05 in pick and roll. Now he has comparisons here to Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Tyler Hero's rookie seasons. In Devin Booker's rookie season, he was at 0.81 points per possession in isolations and 0.8 in pick and rolls. Bradley Beal's rookie season, he was at 0.61 points per possession in isolations and 0.73 in pick and rolls. And then Tyler Hero, 0.69 in isolation and 0.71 in pick and rolls. So Tre Johnson is ahead of the curve right now, and albeit it's a small sample size because Tre only has 10 isolation possessions on the season, but he has shown the ability to create for himself, maybe even more than we believed. Because early on, the first couple of weeks of the season, we were shouting from the mountaintops, AB, that we're tired of seeing Tre Johnson have to create for himself so much. We want to see them set him pin downs and get him more involved offensively. But now that he got some of those reps under his belt, it looks like he's improved his physicality, he's improved his focus and his coordination heading toward the basket, getting to a spot at the mid-range. It's gotten better every single week that I've watched him play. And it's interesting when you put those numbers in comparison to some of these other guys that have had really illustrious NBA careers as two guards in the league. Tre Johnson might be well on his way to being that type of player. Oh, and he's about to get a pure point to help him out.
I mean, when it comes to his scoring ability, Ben, Brad at one point 30 points per game, but it was as a lot of people would say, empty calories, because you weren't going into playoffs and making a lot of moves during the postseason. Trey's gonna play meaningful basketball at a high level, and 3-point shooting wise, do you think there's a possibility, Ben, where he might finish as the best 3-point shooter to ever play in Washington? Or I know it's too soon, I understand that, but you see the potential, it's there, right? Or am I tripping?
In DC, so what even whose record would he have to break? Does Beal own that?
I'm assuming Agent Zero and Brad, just the top of my head, own that, but there's probably some other guys that I'm missing out on.
I'd have to fact check who the Wizards' all-time 3-point leader is, but like at the rate he's playing at, if he played here for 15 years, like that definitely seems like something that could be a possibility. I'm trying to pull it up right now, so let's see. Yeah, Beal owns the record with 1,500 3-pointers made in 11 seasons. So I think it's doable. For the pace that Tre Johnson is playing at in his rookie season, if he plays 15 years here, that should be his record to beat.
Healthy as two, knocking on wood.
Corey Kispert ended up 4th. Remember, he hit his 600th a couple weeks ago. He is 4th all time in Wizards history 3 points made. John Wall is 5th at 539. Gilbert Arenas is 2nd on that list at 868. And can you guess who's 3rd, AB? I didn't expect this, honestly, but he's before our time, so I guess it makes sense.
3rd.
And don't think too old, but it's definitely before you and I started watching this team.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, Ben. I started watching in 2014. I might be a
Yeah, no, it's definitely
casual.
it's before that. It's Antoine Jameson.
He's 3rd.
He's 3rd.
Really?
Yeah,
Man.
really interesting. I
Johnny
had no
Davis.
idea.
Johnny Davis isn't up there, Ben.
No, Johnny Davis didn't. Hey, Davis Bertans is 10th.
Where's JC? That's the real question.
JC's not. Jordan Poole is 9th.
Actually, wow. Man.
With
Yeah,
419.
I guarantee you right now, I'll bet a lot of money. He's going to finish top 5.
I think
top 3.
This list actually just proves that we haven't had good enough 3-point shooting in this town for long. Kyle Kuzma is 8th on this list.
Yeah. Wrap it up, Ben. Wrap it up.
It's just, pack it in. Pack it in. This episode is over. Like on.
Also, side note, Agent Zero shouting us out after the trade. Did you see, Ben? He was hyped. He was wearing DC gear. Said some nice things. Said some funny things about Atlanta. It's nice to see the old players rep our squad because we get a lot of negativity. Always go back to the fact that we're the punching bag of the league. But it was nice seeing Agent Zero hyped after the Trae Young trade.
He's always been really supportive of Washington, and it's interesting to me because I remember in 2015 when we played Toronto in the postseason, we beat them in Game 1 of that series on the road. I think it was an overtime win after Grievous Vasquez tied the game with a three-pointer. Yeah, you remember that? Now crazy because Grievous Vasquez is a Monumental Sports Network in-studio host. After the game was over, Gilbert Arenas went on Instagram, took a video of him in a Raptor pickup truck, and he was like spanking it nonstop. And I was like, wow, I didn't know he even like still supported the Wizards like that, but here we are. So yeah, that was interesting to hear. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think about today's episode. Do the Wizards prove that they actually need Trae Young long-term here, or at least for the foreseeable future, to run this offense? Because it's been pretty bad as of recently, but things could be looking up. Alex Sarr had a big night. Let us know what you think about his motor going forward. And then Tre Johnson, is he underrated as a rookie? I certainly think so. But that'll do it today for this episode of Locked On Wizards. For your second listen today, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball Podcast, where Josh Lloyd always keeps you up to date. We'll be back for you tomorrow. For my co-host Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We'll talk to you later.